the Public Order Bill. Now, this has a lot to do with Insulate Britain, whose tactics and activities have perhaps gone rather further than Extinction Rebellion. And the Metropolitan Police say they spent £4 million on policing the protest between September and November last year. And much the same has been said by Surrey Police, City of London Police, Greater Manchester Police, albeit the figures are smaller. And when you look at the polling on this and what people think, and let's just remind ourselves, Insulate Britain, blocking the M25 and stopping access, even attempting to stop a free press from working in this country. And it's no surprise, actually, that by a clear majority of over 3-1, people disapprove of what Insulate Britain are doing. And that is why the Public Order Bill has been brought in. It's going to make locking on a specific criminal offence. Those that interfere with key national infrastructure, well, they're going to find themselves with potential prison sentences of up to 12 months and an unlimited fine. But you know what? I think this is probably right. I don't think we can have people being stopped from going to weddings, funerals, holidays, or even, in the most extreme case of Insulate Britain protesters, people saying they wouldn't even allow ambulances to get to hospitals. Well, joining me is a spokesperson for Insulate Britain, Craig Scudder. Craig, you yourself have been out there on these protests, and you clearly feel very strongly on the issue, and I understand that, I respect that. I've taken on the establishment too on issues in my time, and I get it, you feel very strongly about it, you're worried the world's going to end, and I understand that. But you yourself, you were there outside the print works, weren't you? Where certain newspapers were being produced, whose editorial line you didn't approve of, and you were actually preventing a free press from operating in the UK. When you reflect back on that, that is inexcusable.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on tonight.
It's fine.
I'm sorry I'm a bit late. They just wouldn't let me out of makeup, I don't know if that's usual. But let me start by saying one of the facts that you said in the introduction there was that by 3-1, people disagree with what we're doing, but 71% of people in this country say that climate change is their main concern. Now, albeit that was before the cost of living crisis.
But not your actions. The point I'm making is, if you really want to educate the British public, if you really want us to feel more strongly about it, you're going the wrong way about it anyway.
Right, so if you let me finish, then
it'll be more than welcome. Okay, hey, we believe in free speech here.
Exactly, right. So let's get on to the Printworks thing that you started with.
Yeah.
Okay, I was part of that because we're trying to highlight that certain publications in this country are not covering what is, according to the United Nations, according to all the climate scientists, the biggest threat humanity's ever faced. Now, we're not trying to have any editorial say or trying to...
Sounds like you are.
No, we're not. We were trying to make a point that these publications should be covering the biggest story there is and could ever be with more honesty, more fact-based journalism. Anyway, by the by, what we're here tonight to talk about...
Craig, I could argue that the threat of nuclear war is a much more imminent thing because Putin might have lost his marbles. But what I'm saying to you is this, right? What I'm saying to you is this. I understand you believe in this very strongly. I respect the fact you've got that view.
All experts and all science, Nigel.
I may not agree with that view, and even if I did, I'd say, Craig, go to China and protest, because that's where the action is.
You wouldn't say that. Come on, you're better than that.
But you know as well as me. But you know as well as me, we only produce 1% of global CO2. But that's by the by.
But over 50% of CO2 comes from these small countries, Nigel. Well over 50%.
1% from Britain. 1% from, or less than 1%.
Who started the Industrial Revolution, Nigel?
Oh, look, I'm not going to apologise for what we did 200 years ago.
Historically, per capita, no one is more guilty and more culpable than us.
We've got fewer volcanoes, and they put out a fair bit of CO2 as well.
Anyway, right, let's get on to the policing bill. That's what you want to talk about.
The point is this. Your behaviour, what you've done to obstruct people, to potentially obstruct people going to hospital in ambulances.
That's never happened, Nigel.
Well, we've seen activists on the television saying they would stop ambulances, stopping the M25.
That may be other activists.
Hang on, I'm not saying you, but your organisation, by 3-1, the public disapprove of your tactics. And what the Home Secretary is proposing, or the government effectively is proposing in this bill, is that if you block key national infrastructure, you could face up to 12 months in prison.
Yeah.
What is your response to that?
Well, I mean, without being rude, I don't think Priti Patel was picked from the National Gifted and Talented programme, was she? And I think she's got the wrong end of the stick. When the IPCC said that we need big, bold action, I think she's misconstrued that to mean that we should lock people up who are blowing the alarm. Because it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Do you think
you
your
say by 3-1 people disagree with our tactics?
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear polling.
100% of us disagree with the tactics we're having to use, but it's the only way to bring this to the media's attention.
Well, if it was working, right, if it was working...
I'm here, Nigel, it's working.
No, you're here, and what I'm telling you very clearly from all that you've done over the months, and from all, I mean, YouGov are a reputable polling company, this is a decent sample, only 16% have a somewhat favourable or very favourable view of your actions, and a whopping 53% are very unfavourable, all right? So it's pretty clear. What I'm saying to you actually is that reasoned argument would be more effective than what you're doing, and the Home Secretary might just be doing you a favour here.
Well, reasoned argument needs a platform.
We'll stand for election.
For the last 50...
Stand for election.
For the last 50... We don't have proportional representation, do we, Nigel? It's only us and Belarus and Europe that don't.
Yeah,
but we should have 50 Green MPs in there, and we've got one. Right? We should have a voice. We can't get a voice in this country because of the electoral system.
Right.
We are trying to raise awareness that unless we take big, bold actions now, the next 100 generations of people on the planet are going to be affected. We're not professional protesters, we're normal, everyday people. I've got better things to do than go and sit on a road.
Is blocking the M25 really the way to win these arguments?
But it isn't. It's a way of raising the issue. We're not trying to win an argument on the M25.
I have to tell you, honestly, and I mean this, and hey, look, we've got more in common, actually, than most viewers would realise. We're both former city brokers. We both had passionate views that the establishment didn't approve of. And I wasn't backwards in coming forwards in my campaigns, but I always stuck within the law. I always believed that to be the right thing to do. I face the same hurdles that you face with the electoral system and all the rest of it. I know that it's damned hard, but I'm genuinely arguing, Craig, that what you're doing is turning people against the opinion that you hold so dearly.
Yeah, people aren't on board with the tactics, but as I've said, nor are we. But we're trying to get over to the public that the media aren't doing their job properly, right?
The BBC's full of it. Sky News has a climate hour every
They do,
evening.
that's brilliant, isn't it?
There's masses of it.
But it's about the news, isn't it? It should be on the news pretty much every day.
And I'll tell you this, actually.
Let me tell you a few facts.
I'll tell you this for certain, right? Under the Broadcasting Act, no balance has to be given to this debate at all. In fact, your side of the argument gets 90% of the airtime. The sceptics get very little.
There isn't another side. It's like
there is always another side.
Nigel.
Science, hang on a sec, Craig.
No.
Science is never settled. Science is never settled.
Okay,
whether it's Newton or Darwin or whatever it may be, science is never settled. People can change their minds.
So
if
there was a debate on lung cancer, we should have someone on from Benson Hedges? Is that settled science or not?
Oh, absolutely. Let's hear what they've got to say.
But is it settled science, smoking and lung cancer?
A lot of people get lung cancer who haven't smoked.
Right, but there is more consensus among scientists and climate change than there is among oncologists on smoking and lung cancer.
There may well be, but here's the point. Here's the point. Disrupting the M25, we produce less than 1%.
Gets us on shows like this, Nigel. Well, let me tell you some facts.
I tell you what.
Let me tell you some facts.
I'm more than happy for you to come on because you've got passion and you believe in what you believe in.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute to talk about the science.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay. So why, in the 6th richest country in the world, do 8,500 people die from winter fuel poverty every year? Why do we
Green taxes.
What? Come on, you're better
Green
than that.
taxes.
Why do we give the fossil fuel industry £10 billion, which would pay for 1 million houses a year to have air source heat pumps fitted?
Which don't work when it's cold, but go on, next one.
Why are we giving out 41 new licences to drill in the North Sea when it's quicker to get wind and solar online than it is to get new oil and gas. It's cheaper.
Because wind is intermittent, and we shouldn't be importing
storage, Nigel.
We shouldn't be importing any gas or oil, but producing our own.
Storage, Nigel.
But the point I'm making, Craig,
storage.
but the point I'm making, all those.
The
point I'm making is all those things you put. I've got counter arguments too. We can debate this, and we should debate this. And you're very welcome to come on the show, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
We'll see next time we hear about Craig. He'll be in Munich. I've no doubt about it. Doing 12 months for obstructing the law. But we can have these debates. Now, a piece of good news. Here's a piece of good news. You see, I believe in free speech, and that's why Craig was here in the studio. The BBC, following a Panorama documentary, have had to upbraid Justin Rolat, who is one of their journalists, one of their senior journalists, because he produced a programme on Panorama wrongly stating that weather-related deaths were increasing as a result of climate change and global warming, and that all of this was said without qualification, and there is actually zero evidence to back any of it up, and Rolat has been somewhat upbraided by the BBC following a series of complaints, which I think is a very good thing.